What's going on, everyone? I'm Tello Schulten. This is Coffee with the Bearded Reviewer. Thank you so much for watching this video. And today, folks, I have a very special episode for you. I got Curtis from the Culture Mauraders in this video. So, without further ado, let's get started with today's video. Alright, so, thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. This is Tyler Shelton, and this is Reviews with the Bearded Man. And here is a special guest. Curtis, how about you introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Kells, Curtis Kelly, a.k.a. Special K, representing the Culture Mauraders crew, the show where we maraud on all culture and deliver the goods to you, the masses. So good to be here, Tyler, man. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So, just given the fact that I got the chance to watch some of your stuff on YouTube and also listening to your podcast, I just really love everything that you do. I think it's just absolutely just awesome that you just kind of like talk about like stuff that needs to be talked about, and you just kind of like have the time to talk with your family and friends. And one of my personal favorite podcast episodes that you did was back in I think it was like near just at the very end of Christmas season when you had your son on.
Where we did the rap snacks.
That's it. Yes. Oh, dude! Like, seriously, your reactions, especially when you were experimenting with like those snacks, I'm like, like I just couldn't stop my laughter.
Yo, they were terrible, man. Like it's just a cheap chip, and it wasn't good. Like the flavors just didn't mesh well, man. So yeah, I mean that was an authentic reaction that you got right there, man. And I tried to figure it down, but nah.
Oh, that was fantastic. Just pure.
Good. I appreciate you listening, man. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to just find out from you before we get things started. So like, for those who might not know who you are, can you just kind of like give a rundown of what you talk about?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, yeah, like I said, Curtis Kelly, I go by Kells on the show. I've been doing this coming up on a year in September. I'm retired military, and while I'm still working, I'm, retired, but while I'm still working, this is a little side hustle that I picked up, man. It's just something I've always enjoyed doing, just talking. And, that's just like any office, work center, water cooler talk. You talk about sports, you talk about different things going on in the world. Well, my idea was to put it on a podcast and just talk about life, man, and just different cultures, different experiences that I've had, not only from the military, but just in life. And it's just been fun, man. Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I think it's just absolutely just great that, especially with this kind of platform, that I think it's just absolutely fantastic that we all get to just kind of like talk, and we just have these friendly discussions. I think that's what's very important, especially in this time of era, because sometimes it does feel like that it's easy for you to get in like a heated argument where it's almost not civil anymore. But I just really like it when you and I just talk, we're just talking about like just stuff in general. I think that's fantastic. And so that's why I thought it would be fun for you and I to talk about the movie Hamilton.
Right. Definitely.
So overall, I just wanted to hear your output of what you thought about that movie.
So I was stationed in New Jersey almost 2 years ago. That was my last duty station before I got out of the military. And Hamilton when I got there was 2016, like right before this movie was filmed, because they said it was in June of 16. I got there in February of 16. Yeah. So, and I didn't understand what the big to-do was about this play, right? So, you go to New York, and New York was only about an hour train ride for us down in South Jersey. And you get up there and you go down to Broadway and stuff. You see it. It's right there,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. And it's like, okay, cool, Hamilton. All right, what's the big deal? So I'm sitting there looking for tickets, and these tickets are like $400 a pop, man, like $200 to $400 and up. And I'm like, wow, there's no way in hell this play can be this damn good when you're charging people like sporting, like good seats, sporting event tickets. So, and towards the end of our time when we were up there in 2018, I was like, let's try to go see Hamilton. I couldn't score tickets. And
Wow.
so, and you know, a little disappointed, but not too broken up because we didn't know what we were missing. So, you know, fast forward to, you know, a couple weeks ago, you know, Disney Plus releases it out on its platform, and you know, it was like, okay, we're gonna watch it. So we sat down and watched it. Me, my wife, my older son, and we were just blown away. And I was just sitting there looking at my wife, and we were just kicking ourselves, like, man, I wish we had got tickets to go see this thing. I enjoyed it, man. I'm not a big musical type of person. Like, I'll watch them, but this one reeled me in just because, you know, Lin Manuel Miranda, the way he created this and put this thing together, man, it was so different. And like you said, it was like something you had never seen before. And the
Yeah.
same with me. You know, you have your musicals like Grease and, you know, Cats and stuff like that, the different ones that are out there, and Aladdin and stuff like Lion King. But this was different because it was almost like a hip hop version of history. And my wife was like, man, she goes, if history was like this more often, she goes, I'd actually pay attention to it. You know, I'd be willing to learn more about history. So I thought it was really dope. I thought the way it was put together was like, you know, amazing. And just the performances were good. And, you know, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's not the best singer, you know, and I thought, you know, we'll get into that as we go into the episode. But I just thought, you know, with Leon Bridges and everybody else, the supporting cast, I thought it was just right on point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. What I didn't know anything about it, not until I actually heard about this movie through another YouTuber. His name is Sean Chandler. A shout out to you, man. Have you heard of that guy?
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, he's another YouTuber who reviews movies, and it was just recently that he actually just became a Rotten Tomatoes reviewer. But he has his own podcast where he talks about movies and such. But as soon as I heard him talk about Hamilton, I'm all like, what is this about? So
Yeah.
I looked up into it, and I watched it just within the week when it came out on Disney Plus. And I was quite surprised to see that this was actually about our founding fathers, and
Yeah.
I thought it was just absolutely just fantastic. Just how, like you said, like with the whole music, it was just something so different. Like it's something that you have not seen before in a play. Like you got like ranges from like rock to jazz to pop to hip hop to rap, and even all the people that was involved, they had their own flair in their musical note.
Yes.
And the guy, I don't remember his name, but the guy that played Thomas Jefferson.
Yes, I think his name was Naveen Diggs or something like that. I something like that.
Yeah.
Let me pull up his name. I want to get it right and you know, be respectful. So,
But
yeah, man, like he was good. Like a lot of these characters played dual roles.
yeah, and I think I thought it was just absolutely just fantastic what they did, just with even with the whole score. And I didn't know this, but Leanne, or I'm having a hard time remembering his name, the guy that did the whole thing.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yes, that's it.
Right.
I
And
just
also, let me correct myself. I'm sorry.
oh yeah,
It
go
was
ahead.
Leslie Odom Jr., not Leon Bridges, who did Aaron
Leslie
Burr. Sorry,
Odom.
let me correct myself.
Yeah, especially with the guy that played Thomas Jefferson. I thought it was just absolutely fantastic what he did. Like, I've seen, like, this is actually a little something that a lot of people don't know about me, but I'm actually a direct descendant to Thomas Jefferson.
Really?
Yeah. Uh, so just seeing how he interpreted someone that is actually in my family bloodline, it was just so cool to see his own take on the guy. Like I think my personal favorites of what he did is when they did the rap battles.
Yes, yes.
That was
And
awesome.
that was David Diggs, not David Diggs. So yeah, he's you've seen him on if you watch Blackish, or if you know, he had different cameos and a couple different things. He did Drunken History, you know. So yeah, he's everywhere, man.
Yep.
He's super talented.
He
He played Marquis de Lafayette as well. So you know, he
Yep.
couple dual roles with Thomas Jefferson.
Yep. I thought I recognized him from somewhere. I just couldn't put my finger on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, seriously, like everyone involved, even the ladies that was like the supporting roles, the ones that played Hamilton's wife. They all
Yeah,
just
Eliza, and Angelica. Was
yes,
it Schuler? Yes, I believe it's Schuler. The Schuler sisters. There was three of them,
yeah,
and all three of them. I mean, talented, and it was just. I mean, just yeah. I don't know. I mean, just taking it back from the beginning, right? And just the beginning of it. And I didn't understand how to take it because it just jumped right in, just singing, performing, and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if I can watch this. But what caught me was that they were singing, but they were rapping, and I was like,
mm-hmm.
okay, let me get this in my head that this is how this is gonna go. And then once I did that, everything else just kind of fell into place, and I was locked in, man, from that point on.
Yeah. I mean, even from the very beginning, when you are starting to hear kind of like that, dum, 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 dum,
Yeah.
it just instantly made me think of The Greatest Showman.
Yes, it had that type of effect. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was good. That was a good musical as well. And
Oh
Hugh
yeah.
Jackman as well as Zac Efron, they killed that movie, man.
Oh, they
They
really
crushed it.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes down to the celebrities that I got to meet personally,
Mm-hmm.
it was Guillermo del Toro and Hugh Jackman when I was in New Zealand.
Oh wow.
But when I saw Hugh Jackman, he just looked like he was just kind of like my dad in a way, because my dad he's just one of those guys that is just like tough on the top right there, just kind
Yeah.
of like that big brawn dude that you can just like see as like one of those like Joes. I mean that's how I saw Hugh Jackman. He was just like it was weird because he's at like 6'3" or something like that, but it felt like that I was just kind of like
Wow.
looking at him at the same eyesight as my dad,
Uh,
which was weird. But at the same time, when I saw those biceps, I'm all like, please don't kill me.
you would have thrown out the claws on the adamantium.
You-
So what did you think? So in the beginning, right? So and with Hamilton, it started off a little bit slow, but they had the meeting. Where it picked up was where he was, wanting to be involved with the revolution, right? So
Mhm.
I thought that was pretty cool. And when he met, Aaron Burr and Marquise de Lafayette and Mulligan, and and they were talking about raise a glass to freedom, and you could see Aaron Burr was kind of on the outside of that, where he wasn't
Yeah.
really about it, but he's like, okay, just for the sake of hanging out with these guys, sure. But just that moment alone kind of was in a sense a birth of the nation, like because these guys were going to go out and change the course of history for this country, and
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool just to capture that moment, how they captured that.
Hmm. And you know what? That just reminds me. I just when I saw the camera just keep on moving around, but it felt like that. It felt like that something else was moving, but I didn't realize that not until maybe about like halfway through of the movie, and then you actually see like an actual circle on the stage that is
Yeah,
actually moving around. That was a real trip.
yeah. The set pieces were incredible, man. I really
Oh
thought the
yeah.
set pieces were well done. There was a part in it, and it was like midpoint of the movie where he met Eliza, but then they did a live action flashback and resituated everybody. And
Yes.
it came back to that moment again. I was like, this is wild. I had never seen that like live action before.
Me neither. I mean, when I saw that, I'm all like, "What's going on? Are we not watching Doctor Strange or something?" Because it took me a moment to figure out what they were doing, but then just seeing just kind of how like things were kind of like almost looking the same when it got close to the end of it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, they just
Yeah.
reversed the timeline.
Right. I thought that was really cool, and I just
Yeah.
thought I really, really liked the guy who played George Washington. I thought that guy was super, super talented,
Yeah.
and his voice, man, like his voice, and it's like history's watching you when he did that portion, and that dude could sing, and the way he commanded the stage, I thought that was really impressive as well. And like I said, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he wasn't the most talented singer, he was capable. But that dude, him and Leslie Odom Jr., they stole the show, in my opinion.
Oh, they totally did. And I thought that another person that stole the show was not Elizabeth, but the other sister.
Angelica?
I think that's it. The taller lady, isn't it?
Yes, Angelica. Yep,
Yeah.
the one that was involved with Hamilton before, right?
Right. Yeah, I thought she did a phenomenal job, especially with her moments, especially when they
Yes.
did that whole reverse timeline moment.
Uh,
Like she's got pipes.
yes. Yeah. She's super talented as well. And just that portion right there, it's like, it's also, it goes to show that Alexander Hamilton, yeah, he was, one of the founding fathers of our country for the most part, but he was also kind of a scumbag.
Yeah,
He was messing with his sister and then turned around and married her other sister. And, but what got me was that the fact that it was never, they never approached that topic. Like, did she know? Was it ever found out that, he was messing with her sister I wish they had kind of gone into that if it was known.
yeah, yeah. Even like even my direct descendant Thomas Jefferson, he was kind of like that as well. But like that it felt when you look at history, it feels like that was kind of like the norm back in those days because a lot of people would have like a lot of mistresses and they would have a lot of children.
Uh,
That was like the norm back in that day, which I think is really crazy. But you know what? I just really just love how very accurate they did with the whole historical aspect. I thought they did a really good job and just even showcasing kind of like that Shakespearean feel to it, especially when it came down to like the whole family aspect.
Sorry, that was me.
Oh, you're all right. But yeah, it definitely felt Shakespearean at several moments, but I'm not saying that I don't like Shakespearean stuff, but I thought it was just a very unique take, especially when they were talking about like uh, when Hamilton's son was about to take on this one guy because he just bad mouthed about his dad.
Right.
Because it feels like that it was both ego that killed both his son and Hamilton.
Exactly. And you didn't learn first of all, you failed your son by telling him to go out to the duel and shoot in the air. How about you just don't go? How about that? That
Yeah,
was an option, and he turns around and does the same thing. And him and Burr had history, like well before
yeah,
all this stuff picked up,
oh yeah,
yeah. So yeah.
but yeah. Even the movie itself, it feels like it's very relevant even to this day, especially
Yes.
with everything that's going on. Because I truly believe that. I mean, this is just how I was raised. Is that I think we all have the right to bear arms, but we should do it responsibly. But also, it's not really best to showcase it. We should not be flaunting our guns and stuff like that. We should not be like trying to instigate the situation. I think it's more about like being civil and actually have a direct talk with the people instead of like just waving around your gun, because that is one very big instance that you're just going to get shot.
Oh yeah, you're just asking for it, and you're right. And it's about being responsible,
Yeah,
with firearms and stuff. And you're right, not going around flaunting it. And I think we've lost that sense of chivalry, right? And that's kind of going out the door in class. And it's now more today. It's like I have the bigger gun, so I have the bigger voice, and it's just that's
right.
just not how it should be.
Yeah, but yeah, like I just really just love the relevance of this movie and how things are going on right now. But I think it's a good thing that we actually got the chance to watch this movie, especially during this time of period,
Yes.
especially with the pandemic, and we got like a lot of free time. And I just absolutely just loved watching this movie. And actually, my wife watched it the second time. Like she was just all like, "Can we rewatch this?" But I'm like, "No, it's past 10."
It wasn't that good, huh?
Oh no, like it was past 10. I was supposed to be asleep at the time, and like
Uh,
yeah, because I have a job.
so
Yep. But
let
yeah,
me
like
ask you about the duel at the end, right? What
yeah,
did you think about that piece at the duel at the end with the slow motion bullet? When Burr shot and the lady popped up and just basically carried the bullet, and they did another reverse timeline of everything that was going on, and then up until the point where it hit him, and then everything just kind of sped back up and came back into picture. I thought that was really well done as well.
yeah, that was very well done. Like when it comes down to Broadway stuff, I was actually involved in drama when I was younger, so I kind of know what goes down when it comes to like doing a play and just how you do your lines and just how everything is supposed to be done. But just I've also got the chance to go to New York and see The Lion King. There was one moment that you actually see people just coming in the background. You don't see them, but all you see is Simba, and then all of a sudden you see these people just carrying plates, and I'm like, what is going on here? But then all of a sudden the lights up, and you see those plates turn into the form of Mufasa's face.
Oh
So
wow.
so majestic. It was just a moment like that. So that moment that you're talking about, that really reminded me of that moment. It's just like one of those incredible moments that it's just like so hard to do that, especially when you're on Broadway, because you really can't make any mistakes. And I thought that was just like
Oh
the
yeah.
most incredible moment.
Yes. I thought what was really impressive was that they knew these lines by heart, right? And he was rapping and all this stuff, and to memorize everything, the battles, the back and forths, to memorize that like that. And then they were doing 2 shows a day. So you do one, and then you got to turn around and come back and do another one like in the evening. Man, like I said, I'm blown away. And those cats,
Yeah.
that cast and crew earned every red cent that they got from that. I thought it was incredible. There's no way, you know, I could imagine being a part of that ensemble cast and performing like that.
And so I actually did want to ask you, do you think that when it comes down to the Oscars and the Academy Awards, do you think this movie might get some nominations?
I would hope so. I think it was good enough. I think it was very good. And seeing that this is kind of a lean year for movies, you know, I don't know if you heard or not, but Bill and Ted Part 3 is coming out. They're going to drop that on video on demand. I'm pretty pumped about that.
Oh, me too.
But with this, I think if it's going to win one, this is the year to do it because,
yeah,
you know, I'm trying to think of the last musical. Was it Chicago? I'm sure there's something else that's been more recent, but overall, like Chicago was the last real heavy hit musical that I can remember winning. You know, that was really cleaning up at the Oscars. So I think it has a good chance.
Yeah, if I remember, I think The Greatest Showman did get a couple nominations.
You're right. Yeah, 100%. And Great Gatsby too. I think Great Gatsby was up for one. There's a couple stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I love musicals. Like, some of my personal favorites. I mean, Hamilton is definitely among like my top 5 personal favorites, and The Greatest Showman, The Sound of Music, Willy Wonka.
Oh yep. You're right. And you forget Willy Wonka's a musical, like, you know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You forget. You know, I always tie it to Gene Wilder and his portrayal, and you know, which is dope. It was like one of the that scene when he comes out and does that tuck and roll. That's still probably one of my favorite scenes out of any movie. But yeah, you're right. You know, it is a musical.
Yeah, but when it comes to musicals, I think the worst I've ever seen was The Cats.
Oh, the one they put out last year?
Yeah.
Real crappy?
It was awful. Just awful. I did not go to the theater to watch it. Thank God for that. But like,
so I heard it cleaned up with the Razzies though, right?
I think it got like a total of like 7 Razzie nominations, something like that. But when I was watching it, I'm like, what is going on with Judi Dench's hand? And all of a sudden, you can actually see her actual arm, not CGI'd. It looks like an actual sleeve.
Oh, man. See, and they put a lot of money into that movie. They pumped a lot.
Yeah, a lot of
money.
And
even when I saw the trailers, when they came out, like, I want to say it was last summer,
mm-hmm.
I was like, this looks weird. Like, this doesn't look right, man. Like, dancing cats and, like, animorphs. And it was just weird, man. I didn't care for it. But I hadn't seen it.
Oh, man. Yeah. The moment that made me so uncomfortable is that in every single scene, you would see everyone go like this. They will be doing this throughout the whole movie, and I'm like, that give me the heebie-jeebies. Like, stop
Creepo
doing
cat.
that.
You know what? I might have to watch it just because I'm a glutton for punishment and I want to
Oh
experience
yeah.
how bad this movie really is. I might have to sit and watch it with my daughter.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, when it comes down to movies that are just like so bad, but you have to watch it,
Yes.
Cats is among one of them.
You know what? And I'm going to tell you a movie that I walked out of in the theaters when it came out, Office Space. I could not get into Office Space. I got up and walked out of the theater. Yeah, man, it just wasn't for me. I was like, this movie sucks. And I got out. So I probably would have done the same if I had went and saw Cats.
Mm. Yeah, there was actually only one movie that I've ever walked down on, and it was actually for it was Transformers: Age of Extinction.
Oh, I fell asleep in that. Yeah, I fell asleep in that one.
Yeah. So I went to see that movie with my roommate at the time. He was asleep. He was on my left side, and he was out. He was out, and I'm like, this is so freaking boring.
The Dinobots suck. They were crappy, and it wasn't good. You're right, 100%. It was the same Michael Bay treatment for any movie.
Yeah.
Now, Bumblebee was good. Did you see Bumblebee?
I love that movie.
Bumblebee was spot on, man. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. For Bumblebee, it really felt like that I was watching a live-action version of the Iron Giant.
Yes. And it tied more closely to Transformers than any of the Michael Bay movies that came out. It was spot on with everything.
Yeah. And you know what? I really like it that they kind of retconned a little bit of the story elements in Bumblebee. Because, like, you at the very end, you actually do see Optimus Prime at the very end.
Yep.
And that doesn't happen in the first one, but I'm all like, screw it, go with a new clean slate. This is fantastic. Start with this.
Yes, and I think that's what they're doing. I think they're starting over because Michael Bay was a producer on this. He wasn't the director, so that changed it right there. So he had a different director, and I guess for effects and stuff like that, keep him on. But I thought overall John Cena wasn't too over the top. He didn't get on my nerves too much. Except for the part at the end where he saluted Bumblebee's like, "Hey, soldier!" I was like, "Get out of here, dude."
Get out of here.
That part was hammy, but overall, I thought the movie was good, and I think it was a perfect jump-off point for if they wanted to go. Absolutely. I would love to see a live-action Transformers the movie with Hot Rod and Galvatron and all them. I'd love to see that.
Are you talking about from the original animated movie?
Yes, the Gen 1, the original Gen 1 Transformers. Yeah, man.
Oh,
yeah.
And you know what? But at the time when I went to see the Age of Extinction, the only reason why that I decided to go see it in the theaters is because they had the dinosaur Transformers.
Yeah.
And I loved those Transformers. They were among like my favorites, but it felt like that they were just shoehorned into the movie for tickets.
And they sat there and pushed them in the commercials like, oh man, they kept showing Grimlock in the commercials like, yeah, Dinobots are gonna do something. They were in the last quarter of the movie, maybe, and that's being generous. Very, very small part. And I was like, man, this is bogus. I thought Dark of the Moon or whatever, Dark Side of the Moon or whatever, I thought that was good. I thought that was really good.
It really felt like that the first three were the good ones, and then everything after that was crap.
Yeah, I didn't even see the last night. I think I saw a little bit. I was like, I can't. I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah, I was done with Age of Extinction.
Yeah.
but you know what? Like, I'm not saying that Michael Bay is not good. Like, the way I would see it is that he was great in the beginning of his career. But
Bad Boys, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Bad Boys 2, Armageddon.
Yep.
Like, those were good movies.
Yes.
But in the recent days, we've been just getting nothing but just like this whole slew of Michael Bay crap.
I don't know, man. There's some bad movies out there, but yeah, man, he's at the top of the slate right now for like really crappy cinema.
Now, actually, speaking of Bad Boys, did you see the third one?
I did see that, and it took a little while. I think it was okay. I'm not a big Bad Boys fan anyway. I don't really. Part 2 I thought was way over the top, but I like how they wrapped everything up. The only thing I didn't care for, and hey, if fellow listeners out there, or viewers, If you didn't see it, sorry, I'm gonna spoil it for you. I didn't like the Will Smith angle, the whole thing, how that came about with, the thing. I don't want to play
Yeah.
spoiler. You know what I'm saying? That whole
Yeah.
dynamic that was there with, the lady and the assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was cool. I thought that was really cool, but they could have.
Yeah, I definitely thought that it was great that we got both Will Smith and Martin Lawrence getting back together and just doing their bad boyisms. Like that was pure entertainment there.
Or you got to trademark that, bad boyisms. So yeah, it was fun. It had some funny parts.
Yeah.
But it was almost like, remember Gone in 60 Seconds where Randall Raines, Nicolas Cage had his old car crew, and then they brought in the new guys, which was his brother and his friends. That's how Bad Boys felt, where they had the old guys, Martin and Will, and then they had the young guys come in, who were helping. I guess it's like a passing of the torch, but I don't think they're gonna make another one. I think that wraps it.
But I mean, it's weird because it feels like that a lot of movies, especially ones that are franchises, a lot of movies have been doing a lot of passing the torch in the recent years.
Yes.
Like you got the MCU, you got Star Wars, you got Bad Boys. There's just like so many movies that is doing like this whole passing the torch to a younger generation.
Yes.
I mean, like, I'm all up for it because it will make more great stories, but you can't ruin the characters that you grew up watching. Like,
like Star Wars, right? Like Star Wars. Oh,
like,
man, yeah.
In the first one, I was kind of okay with Han Solo dying because that would help develop his character, but not only develop his character, but it would develop his son's character.
Yes.
So like,
there's a motivator right there, right?
Yeah. So like that was like a good element of the story of Han Solo's arc that is kind of like being passed on to his son.
Yes.
So like that was good writing on their part. But then when the second one came out, then they killed off Luke Skywalker, and I'm like,
yes,
that pissed me off.
Yep. Yeah, and it was funny. I was just talking to my friend earlier. We talk about movies and stuff, and I thought what I would have felt would have been a little bit better. I think Luke would have had to go, but I would have liked to seen him go the way Obi-Wan went in A New Hope.
Yes.
Actually fight, but not be this hologram and stuff. Actually go and confront him, but sacrifice yourself like Obi-Wan sacrificed for you, for the rebellion to live on. I thought that would have been cool. In a sense, he did. It was just a different way of doing it. But.
Yeah, in a sense he did, but I kind of felt like that they should have kept him alive until maybe about like the very end of Rise of Skywalker. Like I don't think he should have died in the second one because we just got him back. Like
yes,
it felt like that his death was way too soon. That's kind of the same way that how I felt when the DCEU killed off Superman. Because we got Man of Steel, then this one, boom.
And Man of Steel was an awesome movie. I liked Man of Steel a lot.
Yeah. Man of Steel, it's one of those movies that ages well with time.
Yes.
But like there are some elements in Batman versus Superman that just kind of bothered me. But like it actually goes back to what we were talking about, is that like when you see a title that says Batman versus Superman, give us an actual longer battle between these two titans.
Yeah. And because that should have been the majority of the movie. Different fights, different approaches, and yeah, I think what they did was cool. I'm not angry with it because at the end of the day, Batman's a human, right? So he's gonna take a serious, like that fight with him is gonna take a toll at some point. So I think realistically, I think they kind of did it within the context of, I guess, reality, so somewhat. Yeah. But I wasn't too mad at it. I was kind of upset about the whole Martha thing. I thought that was stupid.
That was that was very cheesy. That was just corny writing.
But at the time, I was like, oh shit, they got the same mother. Yeah, I was like, oh, how did I never think of that? But now look, like that's what stops us.
Yeah. But like, I can understand why they wanted to do this because that movie was being based on the The Dark Knight Returns, which is one of the greatest novels ever written.
Yep, I got a copy of it. Yep.
Yeah, like I can understand why they wanted to do that story because it's such a great iconic story, but I felt like they could have incorporated that story maybe like later on, not in this movie, but they could have probably done it in like a separate movie because it felt like that they had way too many subplots.
Yeah, you're right with that. What I did like though, I like Ben Affleck's Batman. I don't, a lot of people didn't like him. I like the older, gritty, beat up, worn down, overweight Batman, where he's relying on brute strength versus his cunning and skill. Like that's over now. I like the scene where he went in to actually save Martha Kent and he went and just laid waste to all the goons and just like,
Dude, that is
violent.
like, yeah. When I saw that for the first time, I'm like, freaking yes, this is the Batman that we needed to see.
Batman, yeah, breaking bones, setting dudes up to like blow themselves up. Like it was dope. I was like, all right, this is cool. But I want to take it back to Star Wars one more time. I think a missed opportunity was the admission of Hayden Christensen coming back as Anakin. I think they really messed up with that. And where the scene where Rey and Kylo kind of had that battle on the ruins of the Death Star. Mm-hmm. I thought that instead of having Han Solo approach him, I thought it should have been Anakin basically telling him, like, look, this isn't the route you want to go down. This is what happened to me. You don't want to go down this route. And maybe that would have been what changed his heart.
Actually, thankfully, I'm actually very excited about this, but I'm not sure if you heard the news, but Kathleen Kennedy, she a lot of her creative control was stripped away.
Yep, I heard that.
We are actually getting an actual like 3.5 hour long Star Wars movie. It's going to be a complete Snyder cut version.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't see this. When did this come out? When did this drop?
It dropped like last week.
Oh yes. So they're gonna have Anakin in it and all.
Yeah. So from what I heard is that the former Disney CEO and the brand new CEO of Disney, and they also brought George Lucas back into the mix.
Yeah, I heard he's back in the fold, right?
So from what I heard that they're doing is that they actually decided that the sequel series is actually no longer valid. Like it's not in the main continuity.
It's not canon. Oh,
it's not canon anymore.
Huh. That's gonna be tough. So now they're gonna have to redo the whole sequel trilogy.
But I'm not sure if you've seen the Clone Wars, the animated show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you're familiar with like this. It's kind of like a pocket dimension where it's a part of the Force that you can actually see some characters go from like one point to another.
It's like the world in between or something like that. Is that what it's called?
So apparently they're incorporating that element to be part of the main canon storyline that the movies that we just saw, they're in their own parallel universe. And then we're going to get another story where it's going to have the same characters, probably kind of like the same story, but it's going to have different outcomes.
The world between worlds. That's what it's called. But that's cool. I mean, I think that's a good way to retcon it. They just got worse, man. Like Force Awakens was damn near a carbon copy of A New Hope, and I was okay with that.
I was okay with it too.
And I was okay somewhat with the change and the different direction that Rian Johnson went with The Last Jedi. I was okay with that. It's a new look, break away from tradition. A lot of unexpected things. They could have done away with the Canto Bite, casino world. Get rid of that. The only reason that scene kind of matters is that it showed there's Force-sensitive kids out there. There's still Force-sensitive people. Mm-hmm. That was, but you could approach that. You could approach that a different way.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was okay. I thought Captain Phasma was totally underutilized. Like, just so
she was completely Boba Fetted.
Yes, yeah, and just you had all these cool characters, and you did absolutely nothing with them. I think Finn was wasted. I think Poe was wasted. I think Finn, they could have capitalized a little bit more because him in the beginning, in the opening scene where he realized, I'm not one of these folks. I'm not one of these troopers. And he's Force sensitive. And I think they should have played on that a little bit more and maybe had Poe had Poe be a little bit more solo-esque, I would say. You know, yeah, he had a little bit of it in him, but I would have liked to see a little bit more.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, I guess I'm more okay with The Force Awakens because I think The Force Awakens is the strongest in this trilogy.
Yeah.
Then I would say that The Rise of Skywalker is the second best, and The Last Jedi I would consider to be the weakest.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just because that The Last Jedi had at least about like maybe 40 minutes of runtime that was completely unnecessary,
Yes.
especially with the whole casino part,
Yeah.
because it really felt like I
And
was
the dude didn't even matter. He didn't even
yeah,
matter in the
it
end. Dakota
didn't.
Mann.
And like I have nothing against the actress that played Rose. I thought she did a good job with the role that she had. But I just
Yeah.
had an issue with her character arc because at the very end, I really thought Finn was gonna die, and I was just going like, no, 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 don't kill him. But I'm all like, his death would be a rally for more to come forward and help
Yes.
the resistance. Like
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that could have been a lot better for his arc. Like
Yes.
even though that his arc has ended, but who knows? Maybe he might have been be able to become a Force ghost because they have hinted him being Force sensitive.
Exactly. You know, or even if they didn't go that route, because he was a former stormtrooper, he sacrificed himself to basically buy them time and run into that big laser cannon thing they had.
Yeah,
You know, sacrifice it. He's like, I'm not gonna let him win, you know, and just sacrifice it. And it would have been cool. It would have drawn me more into it and made me a little bit more invested into
yeah.
it than the way it, you know, so.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? The crazy part is that that very moment it reminded me so much of Independence Day. He's like, "Hello there, guys. I'm back." Boom.
Yeah, exactly. And it could have ended it like that. He would have went out a
Yeah.
hero, you know, and it would have gave the galaxy a little bit more hope. But you know, it
Exactly.
worked out, I guess. But
Yep.
I didn't care for Palpatine coming back again. There was so
Yep.
many other ways they could have went. They could have did the
Oh,
Thrawn series. They could have did, you know, they could have kept Snoke. It could have been
yeah.
anybody, but
Absolutely.
Palpatine.
Well, the actor that his name is Matt Smith, but he used to play Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
He apparently was meant to be the main bad guy in the third one.
Okay.
And he was apparently supposed to play another Force sensitive Sith.
Okay.
That apparently he was actually someone that was waiting until Rey and Kylo Ren to be in the same place at the same time. That he was actually supposed to be the one that would drain the life essence from a Palpatine. But
Okay.
this is actually stuff that is going to be in there in the Lucas cut.
That's right, because he was casted. He was casted, and everybody thought he was going to be General Thrawn, and it didn't happen that way. But it was something different. He was going to be. Okay, yeah, I'm interested now. I'll sit
Yeah,
and watch it again. I'll watch it
I'm.
again.
From what I heard is that they said that this movie is going to be released on Disney Plus in 2022.
Ah, man. Well, as long as they keep putting out good Mandalorian stuff, because Mandalorian 2 is
Oh,
supposed to be. It's shaping up to be dope.
have you seen the Mandalorian season 2 parody video?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, when we finish up our video here, I would highly recommend you to check out that video. If you just type down Mandalorian season 2 parody trailer, you are gonna
Okay.
laugh your butt off.
All right. All right. I'm gonna check it
It,
out. Mandalorian
it,
season 2 parody trailer. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But to close, so now we're just kind of like a sorry. So overall, I really think that I'm just having a great time talking with you about movies and stuff. That like
That's my thing.
yeah. Uh, I just I think it would be a good idea if we can have like do our closing thoughts about Hamilton. Then we
Okay.
can so like overall, what grade would you give Hamilton?
So if we're going 1 to 10, I give it a 8,
Okay.
and that's a strong 8, potentially 9. And the only thing I would say is that it's Lin-Manuel Miranda's singing. I think because you listen to all these incredible entertainers, right? All these incredible talents, and then he comes in, and it almost sounds like Kermit the Frog, man. Like it, like, and it was weird because it was a time where he didn't sing, and you're hearing everybody else, Leslie Odom, the dude who played Washington, the two ladies who sang, even Daveed Diggs, he sang, and then he comes on. And I'm like, I look at my wife, I was like, man, he's not a very strong singer, and that's the only reason I give it. I give it a 9 because lyrically he was on point. Like when they did the freestyle battles and stuff.
Oh yeah,
he was a hell of a lyricist. So I give him that. But the singing is, I go 9.5. 9.5. Okay. I'm knocking down to that. But that's it. 9.5.
That's good. Actually, the crazy part, especially with I don't want to butcher his name, but I was looking him up, and apparently he's also the same guy that did the composing for the movie Moana.
Oh, okay.
Like he's more of a composer than an actor. I found that quite fascinating.
That might be why. Yeah, maybe it might be one of those things where he's like, well, if I'm gonna write this, I'm gonna star in it too. You know, it might be one of those things.
He completely went Sylvester Stallone.
The results vary though with Stallone, right?
Yeah. But just like you said, everyone involved did a fantastic job. I thought the set piece was fantastic. Just all the angles that they did, even just when they were kind of like going with the flow with that spinning wheel on the main stage.
Yep, the carousel. Yep, I thought that was really cool.
That was a very nice thing. Yeah, overall, I thought this was just a great movie to showcase our nation's history in such a very unique way. Just doing more kind of like a unusual soundtrack of music. Like,
yeah,
it's not your typical musical.
Right. And I think that's okay. I think, just breaking away from the traditional sense of what we've known and kind of been told what a musical can be. And I think that also lies in its success. It's something different that you don't expect,
Yeah. And with my own personal thoughts on the movie, I would give the movie a rating of 9.5 as well.
Okay.
Just because, like you said, I think it's just kind of like the main guy himself. It kind of felt like that his voice was kind of like the only thing that
held it back, right? Yeah.
But like, I'm not saying that he's bad at all. I do think he has a good rhythm. I think he does a decent job at singing. But I'd say that his acting was better than his singing. So I need to give him
yep. There it is. So yeah, that's a very, very good point. And I don't want to beat the guy up because you tell me to sing, I can't hold a tune. So at least he's out there doing it. But but in order for it to have a 10, you're right. The singing could be a little bit stronger. But other than that, man, I got no problem with the thing with the musical. I thought it was great.
Yep. So with that out of the way, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being part of this. I just had such a great time talking with you, and I would definitely love to do another movie review if you want to sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts on like some of the other stuff that we talked about?
Oh man, I like just getting deep into. The intent was to talk about Hamilton, right? Mm-hmm. But we got into Star Wars. We got into a little bit of the Marvel universe, and then just the other stuff. I could sit here and just do an episode on that. We could just go down a list of movies, man. So I appreciate it. It was fun. I always like talking movies. That's right up my alley. Music, movies, pop culture, all those types of things, man. That's right up my alley. So thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for being part of this. And before we close up, is there any other movies that you want to recommend to me that you might have seen that I might have not?
I haven't really sat and watched anything recently. I need to watch I need to watch Last Blood, Rambo Last Blood. I need to check that out. I'm kind of waiting. I'm kind of waiting on Bill and Ted, man. That's my next one. I'm really, really pumped about that.
Yeah. Another one that I'm looking forward to is the next Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes. And had they pushed that back, Tenet. I'm waiting for Tenet too.
Oh,
Those are the three. Yeah,
okay,
those are the
seriously,
movies I'm waiting.
they pushed it out indefinitely.
Ah,
It was supposed to come out kind of close to the holiday season this year, but it was
yep.
just last week that they announced that they were going to push it back. I mean, the movie that was actually so like this. Apparently, Christopher Nolan, he's just one of those phenomenal directors. Like, you can't
Yep.
go wrong with him. He gave us the Dark Knight trilogy. He gave us Inception, Memento.
He gave us, I think, Memento too, didn't he? Didn't he give us Memento?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like this is a director that I have nothing but respect for. Like he's a true artist.
Yeah.
And he's just one of those guys. He goes like, no, my movie needs to go out in theaters.
Yeah, and I think he goes in the format, the way he directed it, like the way he filmed it. The format probably lends better to a theater experience, which was the plan, because just watching that 10-minute like trailer when I went to see Star Wars back in December, watching that trailer, I was locked in. I was like, "Yo, what's the rest of the movie? I want to watch this." And yeah, I was going for it. Yeah, just COVID, man, boo, COVID.
Yeah, COVID sucked. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Tenet very much. So this one looks like it's going to be like the next Inception because it feels like
it's loosely tied to it. Did you hear that?
Oh, it is?
Yes, it's loosely tied to it. Yep.
Okay. So it kind of now that you mention it, it does give off that Inception feel. Like it feels like it could be part of that same universe.
Exactly, and I think that's what they were going for because, and that also goes back to what I was saying, where it lends to the theater experience by the way he filmed it, just the way he filmed Inception. I think it showed us some stuff, but they didn't show us everything that's going on with this movie, and I think there's a reason for that. So I'll watch it either way.
I completely forgot about another movie that I absolutely love. That was by Christopher Nolan, Interstellar.
I never saw that. I might have to check that out. I heard it was good.
Okay,
good.
I highly recommend you to watch that one. It is truly fantastic. The visuals is like, when it comes to movies that have like the best visual effects, this one is, I will probably place it as number one.
Really?
The best visuals you'll ever see.
Oh, man. Okay. That's strong because when I was watching The Last Jedi, they did a Star Wars marathon this past weekend on TNT, and The Last Jedi looks really good. It's a really cool movie to watch. Just with the color contrast, with the red and stuff on that. Great. And so if you're saying Interstellar is up there, I might have to check that out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about The Last Jedi. When it comes down to all of the 11 Star Wars films, The Last Jedi, I think, is the most beautiful when it comes to picture.
Yes. Yep. All right. Well, hey.
And actually,
all right, it's still on the list.
But yeah, in The Last Jedi, I'm not sure if you've picked up on this, but when you see Kylo Ren on the Salt Planet when they're ready to assault the Resistance, that you see him and he's walking on the planet, and you actually see red.
Red. But when Luke moved, you didn't see anything.
You don't see any of that.
Yep.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah. Yep. And they showed it. They showed their feet, and there was nothing moving. So yeah, he never even caught it. But yeah, that's the old Obi-Wan trick, the new version of the Obi-Wan, right?
Yep. I mean, I'm not against that idea that Jedis can do that. Like, I thought that would have been the case that Palpatine was doing for the whole time, for him being Snoke.
Yes.
Like maybe he was just like on the verge of death, but he could use the very least amount of force to maybe showcase maybe not like a full hologram of himself. I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
But it does kind of make sense that Snoke is a clone to Palpatine.
Yes.
But you know what? Seriously, like
we didn't even get a Palpatine battle. Like if he sucked all the life force out of them, why didn't he bust out, grab a lightsaber, and start laying waste? And we would have got a battle. Like we didn't even get that. And I thought that was kind of crappy.
Well, the big gripe I have about how they treated Palpatine is that this guy didn't learn a thing. because when you think about it, like the first time that you actually see him use Force Lightning, he does it against Samuel L. Jackson. That caused his face to get all messed up. Second time,
Right.
it explodes right in his face between Yoda. Then the next time was on Luke Skywalker, and hey, guess what? He was thrown off the ledge by Darth Vader. And so, like, stop using Force Lightning. That has never helped you.
It took 4 times.
The
4 times.
time. Like, he did not learn a thing about using Force Lightning.
Maybe he thought it was going to be different each go around. Like, I got something they haven't seen yet.
But yeah, it just felt like that the fourth time. It was all like, oh, forget it.
Yeah, just, all right, man, we're just going to shoot it back to you, kill you, and keep on moving.
Yeah. But yeah, and so from what I heard in the Lucas cut, that apparently you actually see Kylo Ren, the one that is supposed to kill Palpatine, and you actually see actual Force ghosts of all Jedis behind him.
Good.
Then they all zone in on Kylo Ren to give him all of the Jedi powers.
Okay.
Like, you would actually see Samuel L. Jackson. He was on that scene. Like, everyone. I mean, everyone.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen was there, and they cut him out. That's all I was saying. Is like, he got robbed, man. Like, I didn't understand that. Like, why? You know, and the prequel trilogy has actually gotten better over time. Like, yeah, Phantom Menace is okay, it's still kind of kiddie, but overall, those movies have gotten better over time.
But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that the prequel series, it had a consistent flow.
Yes.
And the original series had a consistent flow. This series did not.
Well, I think with the prequel series, you already knew how the end was going to turn out. Like, the end game was already established. It's just, how are we going to get there? You know, because it was basically based off the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker, and that's how they did that. So you knew where it was going, but it's just, how are you going to get to that point?
Totally.
Yeah.
So. Well, anyways, it's absolutely great talking to you. Overall, I think I just really enjoyed talking to you about this stuff. Thank you so much for being part of this. And when I get the chance, I'll be in contact with you, and hopefully we can do another video very soon. I just want to say thank you for being part of this, for talking movies, and just having a nice discussion. Overall, this was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Can I plug my show?
What's that?
Can I plug my show?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Hey, y'all out there, hey, check out the Culture Mauraders on Instagram at _culture_marauders, on Facebook at the Culture Mauraders. And if there's anything you want us to talk about or explore, or, you just want to say what's up to us, hey, hit us up on Gmail at theculturemarauders@gmail.com. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I will see you guys next time.
All right, y'all. Be safe. Peace.
Peace.